This is the Samsung OLED Odyssey G9. We're taking a look at the monitor from a perspective of play, work, and gaming. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So we're going to start by showing off the stand, some of the components. You can mount this to the wall if you'd like. We're going to be showing off some of the adjustments, everything like that, and just talking about what this, well, basically panel has to offer. So this is a 49-inch OLED panel. It is wide. You get a 32 by 9 aspect ratio for a resolution of 5120 by 1440p. With an 1800R curvature, which is wild. You're also going to see a sec here. It's got this thing called Core Sync, which is essentially RGB lighting. You can kind of sync it to your experience and what's happening in, say, your games, or you can just have lights kind of vibing and matching anything in your room. Maybe you've got some nano lights or something like that, and it's really quite a cool immersive experience for, just kind of that extra visual style. So we've got Display HDR True Black 400, HDR 10 Plus for gaming. We've got AMD FreeSync Premium Pro. There's a 0.03 millisecond response time, and you get up to 240 hertz. And if you do have a 4090 like I do, you're definitely getting 240 hertz, which is quite awesome. So that's basically 240 FPS. So you get that through the DisplayPort 1.4 sort of slot. You can use HDMI 2.1, which is perfect for consoles like the PS5, the Series X, the Series S, and that will cap you at 120 hertz, but you can get that full 120 FPS option, and that's kind of just that choice there. But if you do want the full 240 FPS, 240 hertz, obviously you need to go for the DisplayPort, which is kind of expected there. There's a micro HDMI 1 slot. You've got a 3 USB hub, Wi-Fi 5 support, Bluetooth 5.2. You've got a Neo Quantum Processor Pro put into this one, so it is kind of snappy like you're seeing with the Game Hub. So this is a gaming hub where you're able to do things such as Xbox Cloud Gaming, or maybe, I guess, Luna, stuff like that, your streaming options. This is also the experience for like your smart TV, where you get the typical things like you can use like Netflix, or you might have a host of other video apps depending on your particular country of where you're kind of experiencing this from. And it is snappy and it is fast, and you can see right here all the different settings being kind of shown off for what you can adjust on your screen. They're all available and they all wrap around the screen in a ridiculous way. There's voice assistance if you want that things, and a smart things connection if you are doing the smart things from Samsung. The game bar is also present, so that was kind of shown there. It's allowing for easy tracking of like picture stats and what's being shown, adjusting the picture mode, and other assists, which is kind of intriguing if you want that extra layering of your monitor doing some of the monitoring work for what you're having going on in it. So there are also built-in speakers, which we will be doing a sound test of momentarily. So I did find that the screen is incredibly wide for this particular panel, which is great for gaming. It really is quite immersive for your gaming experiences, where you're really quite in the action of what's going on and able to see like really quite a wide field of view if you want. When it comes to like video type stuff or work type stuff, videos do kind of just take in the middle of the screen, which can be a bit weird. And not all websites are really designed for super wide. Like my site kind of isn't for a lot of the articles, but like the homepage looks pretty cool, I think. So, not everything is optimized for a very wide screen. You get like some awkward scenarios where a lot of your panel just isn't really being used. And I did find for work, it was very hard to kind of like work, because I'd have to drag things from like one side of the screen all the way to the other side of the screen, and you can snap stuff, and there is like picture-in-picture stuff you can do too if you want to set that up. But I did find if you are using this from like a work perspective, it can be a bit more of a trialing in order to actually get everything like across the screen to actually interact with stuff. And a lot of apps aren't even built for ultra wide, which is something I've, not necessarily against the monitor, but just something to keep in mind if you are doing it from a work perspective. It was, however, very nice for streaming and whatnot. I'll get to that in a sec. Here's the sound test. So that should give you an idea of just kind of how it sounds. Now, it is hard to capture the audio for something like this, so I don't know if it perfectly kind of presents it, but just gives you an idea of it. It can be quite loud, it can be immersive. I do wish they would have maybe pushed some of the sound tech a little bit further with some more intensive features, would have been kind of nice, but it does sound really good if you want to use just the monitor speakers in order to play. But I'm sure if you're kind of like an enthusiast level where you're grabbing a monitor like this, you're probably likely to have some sort of extra speaker system, but it is something that is part of it, so it is something to review and talk about, obviously. So yeah, like I was saying, for streaming it was really nice because I could have like on one side of the screen I could have like the comments window, and I could have my streaming software in the middle, and then on the left I could be monitoring something like Discord. So it really does have a wide range of like playing space. I kind of think of it almost like it's a few monitors sort of stuffed together, right? Instead of having separate split screens, you've actually got a combination of monitors as one seamlessly wide experience. It is kind of almost a little bit ridiculous in terms of just like how big it is. Like it really is huge. Now it does have some good options too for adjusting like the height, sort of the angle of it, but it is also a lot to take in. But for gaming, it really is quite a spectacular sight. It is very, very immersive, particularly for anything in the first person. Even third person's pretty cool though, because you get these like really zoomed out sort of field of views if you'd like, and it does hit that 240 really nicely. Everything looks really clean. I was playing a variety of different titles here using my typical testing stuff for just video, and it really does look quite remarkable. And then you pair that with the 4090 and it's just like this really awesome tech pushing sort of thing. So for gaming, I was just like absolutely blown away by this. It was so cool. It was so intense. I did try to test a lot of games that were like sort of meant for like ultra wide. Not every game supports that perfectly well, but I was just like, wow, this is so cool for games. And it really helped just make everything run really smooth and fluidly. And I couldn't believe just like the insanity of actually having 240 hertz going on. Usually on my TV, I'm doing 120, if I'm able to get that set up and going and not recording something. But like, yeah, 240 is like a real game changer. The highest I've ever tested was 320 at an event very briefly. But to just have 240 hertz present for my general day-to-day gaming experiences was just kind of really spectacular. Like, it really did feel immersive. I really felt like I was in those games, seeing the full scope of like my peripheral, like what was going on around me, where enemies were. It was great for multiplayer. I've got some like Halo multiplayer footage coming up in a sec here. It was just really quite immersive, and it feels like it's this huge like kind of world that you're in, and it just wraps around your your peripheral viewing, and it was just absolutely incredible for gaming, and it looks so good. And the OLED color, the vibrancy of the panel, everything like that was just visually such a treat to take in. You've got all of the different settings and whatnot to just really make it a great gaming experience for the enthusiast out there that can kind of afford this sort of thing. I don't think you'll be let down if you're going to be wanting to sit there and play video games on this one. It really is quite a gaming treat for sure. They nailed that. So anyways, I would say this monitor is spectacular. It's wide. It's got a host of different features. It's got great settings. It's got great visual quality. I do think for work, it's not necessarily super easy going because there's so much you have to go across. But for gaming, it absolutely excels. And I would say for play, it's kind of fun and it's nice for watching stuff, but it does feel like you're not taking up your whole screen because it's just the center of it. So I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. You can read my full review in the description below. If you have comments or questions, let me know, and I'll just go over some other additional details. I did find that it would have been nice if the screen was maybe like a little bit like taller, if that makes sense, because it is like you really notice the sort of like
curvature of it, which is wild, and I'm not used to curved screens all the time. But I really don't have too many complaints. Just audio could be buffed up a bit more, but visually it is just excellent, and this OLED panel kills. It's awesome.